Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Raila Amolo Odinga, the AU Special Infrastructure Envoy, African Union Envoy, flew out of the country to Egypt, Cairo, to attend the 27th conference of the parties on climate change, a day after President William Ruto flew out of the country. And I have seen the ODM Twitter page sharing. Raila Odinga on Monday morning left for Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to attend this year's United Nations 27th conference of the parties on climate change. He was invited to address the meeting in his capacity as the AU High Rep for Infrastructure Development in Africa. That statement is what was released. And President William Ruto also flew out of the country on Sunday morning, accompanied by Environment Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya, Energy CS Davis Chirchir, Foreign Affairs CS Alfred Mutua, and Kirinyaga Governor, who is the chairperson of Council of Governors, Anne Waiguru. Now, there have been speculation on whether Raila Odinga is going to meet with William Ruto in the sidelines of that meeting. One thing I understand is that what we've actually gathered is Raila Odinga's role, that AU rep role, is supposed to expire this year, but it will be upon the Kenyan government to activate and rather to lobby further for that position, for tenure, for his tenure rather, to be still in that place. So since the last general election and throughout the events of the court proceedings and all, even at inauguration, Raila Odinga have never met William Ruto one-on-one, not in public. If there was such a meeting, maybe in private. But don't you also remember that Raila has met Rigathi Gachagua at the airport, in Mombasa airport once, I think during the Devolution conference. Raila Odinga recently also met Aisha Jumwa, that is the photo you are seeing in your screen, Aisha Jumwa, when he was on his way to a burial ceremony in Kilifi, the father of my good friend and my former Maasai Mara University Vice President, Jacob Fikirini Jacob. So these two have come out, and I have seen, in fact, the meeting was shared, the photo was taken, and the photo you're seeing was taken by Aisha Jumwa's secretariat, and the ODM Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, shared the photo saying that it's never that serious. It was also, even Sifuna also met Aisha Jumwa, and Raila also met Aisha Jumwa. So what exactly is happening is there have been a section of Ruto's cabinet, rather members of his government, that have been so cozy with Raila Odinga, while Rigathi Gachagua, on the other end, has been becoming a bit hard-hitting Raila, framing any other ill, anything that is not going wrong with their government, that Raila left opposition the other time. And I have seen two leaders, Ndindi Nyoro, calling on Rigathi Gachagua that, look here, you need to stop attacking the other people. And even Musalia Mudavadi have sat, while speaking in Machakos, told off Kenya Kwanza leaders that it is not time for blame game and it is time to deliver. So I was giving you that bit of that background so that you understand that you will not be shocked when you see Raila Odinga meeting with William Samoei Ruto in Egypt. That meeting is there, and it is critical. By the way, if you are myopic enough to believe that Raila cannot meet William Ruto and even share a photo in Egypt during that conference, you're getting it wrong. They are people of the same class. Maybe the problem is the small hustler hapa chini. So, what exactly are you seeing from this? In the recent few days, even though we've not seen Raila publicly being cozy with the president, but Raila has taken an issue with Ruto strong relationship with the judiciary. Raila have come out openly to take a swipe at the president over what he termed as witch hunt against members of the DCI unit since it was disbanded. And he also been so critical on the taxation policies that government has been doing. Let me say this, that one of the things that made Uhuru Kenyatta to run government successfully, the last administration, was a handshake. And the handshake between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta is what birthed the peace that we are enjoying now. I have been saying this, and I will still continue to repeat. Even the peacekeeping, even the peace mediation talks that President Uhuru Kenyatta has been given to stand in for, rather to facilitate, this one of Egypt and this one of Ethiopia and the Ethiopian government and the Tigray, and now the DRC Congo, the model that Africans are actually trying to develop is what Uhuru and Raila did in 2018. It actually gave Uhuru Kenyatta a very good clout and good intention and a very good profile as a man that knows how to bring peace in a war-torn country. Now, in that meeting in Egypt, Raila Odinga is there in his capacity as the AU envoy. But Raila is also a very closest ally to former President Uhuru Kenyatta. I want to tell you, number one, that while you can see public declaration that I don't need the handshake, and this is only, and let's just be objective, this is a public declaration by Rigathi Gachagua that we don't need a handshake. From where William Ruto is sitting, he knows very well that you cannot write off Raila Odinga when you talk about matters of governance, especially taking care of government. You cannot trash the voice of Raila. Any other thing you can say, but you must appreciate that 6.9 million people voted for Raila Odinga. And so this country is not just governed by the fact that now I was declared winner and that ends there. There is a lot of it that comes into play. And I want to say that Ruto and Raila are going to talk in Egypt. The mission is there. I am doing this analysis. And of course, I know in the next few hours, Ruto is going to make a speech. And in the next few hours, before November 18th, when this conference is coming to an end, wait, if we are not going to see photos of Raila and Uhuru, and Raila and William Ruto shaking hands. Let me tell you one, that Uhuru Kenyatta took up the role. Raila Odinga have also been on the work, especially on the AU front. And something that is very imminent is that critically, this meeting has some significance into matters governance happening back home. I have always maintained that Rigathi Gachagua seems to have lost the plot. He has remained the only one who is talking ill about Raila. Not Ruto, not Mudavadi, not anyone. And before he knows, it is going to be a weakness that will be used against him to be termed as a man who is tribal. The current President Uhuru Kenyatta held bilateral talks with world leaders, including Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Now, Ruto would talk to Raila about the question of illegitimacy and the question of stability. Let me tell you, the decision by Martha Karua to challenge the Supreme Court verdict in Arusha, I analyzed that it was floated to hang William Ruto's presidency in some sort of suspense that it's floated to show illegitimacy of the government. And as we are, William Ruto is having a lot of enemies, even within the East African front. And even apart from that, our debts, our creditors, the IMF, the World Bank, the Chinese loans and all that, our creditors are on our neck. And this is the time that we need to find a common enemy. And what Ruto and Raila, that stage, the Egypt stage, is going to make them identify a common enemy. In fact, Ruto will comfortably look after Raila so that he will join hands with Raila to fight a common enemy. And the common enemy here is our debts. Our debts. It's really the biggest headache. And so, I see a possibility of William Ruto asking Raila, negotiating with Raila, so that the case that Azimio team are actually fronting in Arusha can be withdrawn, so that legitimacy can be boosted. The biggest challenge William Ruto is facing is legitimacy, because that is the biggest. You don't know what opposition is doing. Of course, they are pushing, and there is conversations about rebellion or other revolution that are coming. You don't want to be in such an environment. That is why Uhuru Kenyatta had to look and meet with Raila for that handshake. Many people will not understand the concept of handshake. Now, Raila, I see Raila delivering Uhuru Kenyatta message to William Ruto. And what will be Uhuru's worry so far is mutilation of Uhuru regime. There is a lot of mutilation of businesses and policies that are being done. In fact, there are a lot of reversal of Uhuru Kenyatta policies. Uhuru Kenyatta probably do not have a problem with that, may not have a problem, but will just offer an advisory that some of these things that are being done, even though we are making these decisions on political expediency, but we are also hurting deep-rooted contracts. Very good one. I am telling you that Raila Odinga will convince and talk to William Ruto that, look here, the decision to revert the port operations and suppress Nairobi Inland Depot and the Naivasha one is affecting a revenue stream that is supposed to help this country pay the Chinese loan that built that road, that is SGR. That is it. And they are not, and now you see Kenyans are now asking that you need to share that document X and this. And could be that Raila could comfortably be sent to tell William Ruto on some of these things. But then, I see also William Ruto wary of opposition resistance. Yes, that there is a lot of resistance, especially on taxation, and Ruto could maybe talk to Raila about this issue. Importantly is the fact that Raila Odinga's AU infrastructure docket, a job, is supposed to, I think, I read it was supposed to end, I think, this year. It was a 5-year, and it was 2 years, it was renewed, and this year it's supposed to be renewed somewhere. And if Raila will not take these roles, then why would you think it will be moved for renewal? I think there is also behind the scene negotiation, even on that role. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my bold. I want you to also tell us, what do you think, what do you speculate? Do you think that Raila can meet with Ruto? And what could be at the center of that conversation? This was a bit of just trying to jog up your mind as we wait for that bombshell, if it's going to come. And let's meet in the next. A power sharing document is breaking coalitions right in the middle. And I also need to, lastly, send quick recovery wishes to Catherine Kasavuli. Yes, the TV queen is suffering. I think we are glad that she has come out suffering cancer. Yes, ovarian cancer. And she was hospitalized this morning. Yes, today, Monday this morning. And of course, there have been calls for cervical cancer. and there have been calls for her, for members of the public to come out to donate blood transfusion for cancer patients need to be taken a notch higher. And so just by someone public coming out to speak publicly about it, I think it's a very good step forward. And as also from the media fraternity and the media space, of course, we've seen us sending these messages. We wish her quick recovery, and everyone, soldier on, because at the end of it, God is the ultimate healer. Asanteni.